Welcome to Somerset Showcase, and we're getting to that time of year. It's Musictown Festival time of year, as it is every October. And this year we thought we would go about our coverage a little differently than usual. We have someone who not only was a student in the band and was in Musictown at that time, but also is now the director of the marching band, and also has a son who is in the marching band who will be in the Musictown Festival. So welcome, Jim Theriault, the
Thank you.
marching band director for Somerset Berkeley. So,
yeah,
I mean, this must bring back memories for you.
yeah. I mean, it's going back a little bit more years than I care to admit to now, but it was always a fun time and a big time. You know, October was always very busy, and it still is. You get the Musictown Festival, a lot of concerts. It's not just the marching band. There's there's the string groups, there's the concert band, choral groups, show choirs. Everybody getting ready for this, this time of year, and then the Musictown Festival right in the middle of it with the parade, and of course it starts with the Musictown Ball next week. So, yeah.
Usually there's a little overlap in those groups, though, I've noticed over the years, and I'm amazed at how the students are able to be in the different groups and remember all that music.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them, and that do, they're in all or almost all of the groups, and it's a credit to them. I mean, just the schedule they keep alone, and in the meantime they're also students, so they're keeping up their classwork and attendance at school. That's part of the requirement for the curriculum. So it's really, I honestly don't know how they do it, but I think maybe being a little bit younger helps with that. And because I remember being in the midst of it when I was there as a teenager. It was an ambitious schedule, but I think they figure it out. They're very resilient. They're very they adapt so well to that. But I have several students throughout that we're always trying. Oh, so and so's got this, and so so's got that. And that's one of the great things that I think we have going on with the entire performing arts. Is we try to accommodate each other. That way the students can maximize their experience. I mean, last winter with the winter group, we had several students that were in the show choir pit band, and we were accommodating, transportation for them so they could still participate in both. And it worked out. You figure it out,
A couple of years ago, you had a football player who was a drummer in the band.
Yeah, it was Kyle, Kyle McKinnon, and
he would play at halftime.
Yep, yeah, he'd come right over with his
play at football.
Yeah, he'd put the helmet down and put the drums on with his uniform on, and didn't miss a beat. He's a very talented young man. I mean,
he's at UMass Amherst in the marching band there now, where you were.
Yeah, this past weekend we did the invitational there. It was a good experience. It was a beautiful day, weather-wise. So, but yeah, this time of year, I mean, it's called Bandtober. You hear that throughout, but it's not just band. I mean, here in town, it's the Musictown Festival. So it is the parade, it's the Musictown Ball, it's the concert groups, and it's a good tradition. It's great that it's lasted this long.
Yeah, it's over 50 years, right? Because we had 50 years.
52? I want to say it's 52 because it was 50 a couple of years ago, right?
Okay.
So,
yeah, I mean, we were just talking about schedules of the students and how they accomplish all of this. But one of the things about the Musictown Festival, and this is true every year, is you don't have a lot of time to get ready for it music-wise because school starts right around now it starts at the end of August, or it used to start in the beginning of September, but you don't have a lot of time to prepare your music for the festival because you've only been in school for a little more than a month.
I mean, band camp helps with that as far as as the marching band goes, but you get maybe 5 weeks of your set rehearsal schedule, and we had rehearsal last evening, and I was kind of stressing for the third number in our show, our field show. I'm like, you gotta stop practicing and memorizing kind of at the same time. And again, they adapt, they figure it out. It's amazing with everything they've got going on. They manage to do it. But yeah, it does not give a lot of time. And I can remember very well, whether it was concert band, jazz band, being in the old school, the auditorium, and Dr. Perry would say, hey, think about this. Yeah, this group sounds this good, but they've only been in school for X amount of weeks, and to be that refined and that well, it's really a testament to the work that we put in as students and that the students put into the program now. So it's really something.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about the show they're going to be performing this year?
Yeah, so the marching band show this year is Opposites. The general symbol of it is the yin and yang, and when we approached it from a design standpoint, yin and yang is usually the black and white emblem, but we thought add a little bit of the school into it, so we did blue and white instead of black and white. And it has the 3 numbers. We're still working on the finishing touches for part 3, but it talks a lot about different contrasting things in the world, and like chaos and order is one of the names of the numbers, tension and resolution, war and peace, beginning and endings. And so we approached it from the standpoint of, visually blue and white is the difference, and then even some of the movements and the drill, as they call it, on the field, to have that kind of reflected in what's being, because there's voiceovers for the numbers that are performed. And the kids have taken to it. They really seem to be going with it, and yeah, it's been a fun show. And I think the other thing that was good is from a musical standpoint, we've hit it where it's like that just right challenge, where it's not too easy for them, but it's not so difficult where they're really, really struggling with it. So I've found that middle ground for them, where they can chew on it a little bit and grow without it being too easy. So. Yeah.
Now, what has it been like for you to be the director of the band after having been in the band?
It's kind of mind-boggling. It's really it's magical to be, in that same position as Dr. Perry, who meant so much to so many people, including me.
He's a legend.
I think beyond
Yes.
legend. And it's tough to speak to anybody that had him as an instructor that probably doesn't feel the same way. To be in that same position as him, it's mind-blowing. It really is. And
after you got the job, did you talk to him?
yeah, I've actually been in contact with him a few times via like FaceTime, and
Because he's in North Carolina,
yeah, he's down south there, and we've conversed a few through email, but then again through FaceTime, and it's 30 some odd years later. I'm the director now, but he's still teaching me. We were still going over things. Try to do this, and if you look, be on the lookout for that. And we had a lengthy discussion about a tough rehearsal. In other words, where things maybe aren't working out so well, and how you have to tread lightly with that, because it's real easy to push too much. And you got to find that balance of pushing, again, almost like the music. You got to push enough, but not too much. But yeah, so we're 30 years removed. He's, I don't know how many different states away, and he's still teaching me. It's incredible. But
because you graduated in what year?
I'm a graduate from Somerset High, 1995.
Okay.
So I just had 30 years.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it's incredible. I mean, it was actually incredible for me when I was there with Tina to be the assistant director with her. I mean, she's wonderful. She's peach. I mean, it was great, and I would have happily stayed there with Tina. She's moved on, but to be there as in the same role as Bruce Maggs was, and the same role as Bob Soares, even that was like mind-blowing, because I'm hard-pressed to, other than maybe my father and my older brother, I'm really hard-pressed to think of gentlemen in my life that have been a bigger influence, and a positive influence. I mean, I was actually I was having this conversation with some other alumni about how, because what's even funnier is some of the students in the band, their parents were in the band with me. I have a staff member, Bethany is my color guard instructor. She's an alumni of the marching band. And we were talking about how Dr. Perry pushed you to be your best. And your best might be different than somebody else's best, but he wanted your best. And most of the time he got it. He got it out of you. He was really like a taskmaster, like motivator. It reminded me, there's a modern comparison, maybe like a Belichick kind of thing going on there. So yeah.
Who was the Tom Brady in your band?
Oh, jeez, that'd be tough. I don't know. There were so many. It's such a plural thing to be in a group like that. And everybody has to do their part, and that's some of what
Do their job.
Exactly. It is. It's such a plural thing, and that's some of what we're stressing to the students now. And I've tried to stress to them. It's like, the staff's here, and I'm the director and everything, but it's really their group. It's what they make of it. And even some of the student leadership that we have. I mean, Ben's there, but we have Scarlett, our band president. She's really stressed the idea of it can't just be upperclassmen. That the sophomores and the juniors, and we even have some middle schoolers, really need to kind of come in and contribute, because that creates good habits, and it creates a future foundation for the band. So yeah, it's kind of
Now,
interesting.
what has it been like for you to be directing Ben in the band?
So it's funny how he can really separate me being director and being dad. As a matter of fact, I'm Mr. T when I'm there. If a lot of the kids, I'm Mr. T. It's really weird. He's got this thing where he does anything I've ever done in my life, and then he does it better. So it's really special to see that. And I think I spoke to you. It's like he's like Ken Griffey Jr. I'm senior, which is fine.
Ken Griffey Jr. was much better than his father was.
I can definitely deal with that. I'd rather have it be that way.
And he plays saxophone, and he's the drum major.
So he's
one of the drum majors.
It's him. He's the drum major. Aaron Gilmet is our other drum major. He plays saxophone, and he also has started playing clarinet, and is looking to expand into other woodwinds. He wants to probably go into music, but he also wants to be able to play in like pit bands where you can go to a musical and you would play flute, clarinet, saxophone. So he's starting to really branch out into other instruments, and of course he's doing it better than
maybe in the high school musical this year he'll
I mean, it depends on how they're setting that up and how they're casting that. He's already I think the year before last in the concert band was playing some clarinet. And he's kind of gone back and forth between alto and tenor sax. He's primarily an alto sax player. So but it's been fun. I try to take in little moments with him, that because it's a unique thing to be involved, be the director, be there with your child, and be sharing these moments, and also be sharing these moments that I once had at his age. That's one thing I think I've tried to not just get through to him, but get through to the rest of the students, that they're going to remember this. This is going to be, here I am, I'm 30 years removed, and I'm still running into people and still have friends from them. And it doesn't change. It's like no time has passed. There's all kinds of time has actually passed. But we pick right back up like nothing, no time. Nothing's gone by.
Well, what would be your favorite memories of the Musictown Festival? What would be?
Of course, the parade is great because you're out in the community, and it's such a big thing, right downtown through the middle of town there. But I think as a student, I always look forward to the Musictown Ball because it was the start of it. And it was like that combination of a performance with a dinner, and then you get to get dressed up. So it was almost like a prom and a performance and meal, and it was just, your family was there and your friends were there and you were all dressed up, and it was like this, it was kind of a big deal. I mean, to be able to do that, mix all those three things basically together. It was like a formal event. So.
What now? You talked about it's been 30 years since you've been at. What are some of the changes you've seen? I mean, one that people seem to notice a lot in recent years is the size of the band, that it's smaller than it used to be.
Yeah, so I mean it's pretty obvious when you see the group that we're it's a much smaller group from 30 years ago or even maybe 20 years ago. I'm not certain what the numbers were. I think a lot of that has to do with the town's population of students that age bracket is much less.
The enrollment is down at the high school.
Yes, that's probably a better word. The enrollment. The other thing is I think there's just more things to do this time of year than there was in the past. And even we were talking about it earlier, from a musical standpoint, there's a lot of other choices. Yeah. There's theater, there's chorus, there's other groups. And then there were several students, because I sit in with the jazz band, I cover some parts. There are several students that are involved in that group, but then they're also involved in athletics, or they're also involved in, they take karate, or there's other beyond the school extracurricular activities. So I think that's some of it too. I still think we're fighting COVID a little bit.
I was just going to ask that.
Yeah, I think there's still a little bit of a holdover from that.
Because these kids, when that was happening, which was about 5 years ago that started, they would have been how old? They weren't in high school yet. I mean, the freshmen were only, they weren't even in middle school yet. So.
No, they were probably just at that point of, maybe 4th grade, 5th grade, where they start with it. Well, no, see, I'm confused. Middle school was 5th grade when I was a kid. Yeah. But, they probably would have just been starting, on the instruments. And so I think that's, several factors that are probably affecting us. Yeah. And it's... the one thing, people say, well, the group's small or whatever. And I mean, back 30 years ago, we used to take 4 buses, 4 school buses, now we're one bus. But the one thing I take away from that is the group I have. If I have such a small group, they're a dedicated crew. I have a dedicated group of students because they're there. And they're working hard for me. I can't complain.
I mean, I've seen some of the same decreases in sports, and a lot of the sports don't have as many. And I'm sure that probably goes back to the enrollment as well, and COVID,
I mean, some of the other other local marching bands. I mean, you have I would think in the area probably the most well known as far as size and strength and is the Dartmouth High School band. And their numbers, my understanding, I haven't actually seen them yet, but significantly lower than what they've been in the past, maybe by like half. I think they were used to be like a 65 to 75 piece band. I think their numbers are roughly around 40 right now, because they've had to change. And when we go to the competitions, they're in a different class. They're in a different division rather. So. Yeah, so I think it is. It's not just exclusive, I think, to Somerset, but all of those factors, we talked about, I think, are probably contributing to it.
No matter what size of the band, though, it's important to have music in the schools.
Yeah, so I mean, typically you find, from a music students, they tend to be more academically, sound. It's not uncommon to see several of them in the top 10 of the graduating class or in the top 20. I also feel like it creates a little bit of a home away from home. That's one of the big things and great things I think about the marching band, where we travel. Like this weekend, we were on a bus to Amherst, and there's music going on the bus, and they're with their friends, and it's a different environment than being, say, in a classroom. But it really creates that camaraderie and that home away from home, and it's something to look forward to. I know myself, it kept me in school. I was not really an academic person in middle school. Band was interesting. I enjoyed music, and it was like, well, let's get to high school and see what happens. And I probably wouldn't have made it through high school. And it was not only the band. I mean, I had this great my freshman year. I rolled up, and I had this guy. He was a senior. He was my section lead, Jared Amaral, and he was like this really smart, top 10 academic guy, and he looked out for me. He took me under his wing, and it made me. He really helped me rethink everything, about not just about music, but my classwork and how I was approaching, my academics. So I think that's the one big thing, more so than even, wins, losses, and I feel like the music helps create that home away from home environment that students really look forward to, and you can tell the students that. I think I know I felt the same way, and there's some of them that are there now. It's all this other stuff is just, these classes and things, as much as they do need to do their academics, but all these classes and all this other stuff just kind of is what happens in between rehearsals, kind of thing.
Well,
So,
I mean, I know people say that sports have the same type of impact, like what you were talking about as far as keeping kids in school, and that's another program that's important.
yeah, absolutely.
So another thing that the band does and is the competitions. I mean, is that something? Did you have that when you were in?
So no, the competitive, the competitive circuit is something that was brought in by later directors after Dr. Perry. When I was there, we were primarily what would be referred to as a show band or an exhibition band. So now it's the two main organizations we interact with is the U.S. Bands, which is where that was a U.S. Bands event at Amherst on Saturday, and then NESBA, that's New England Scholastic Band Association, and that's more of a local group. So, like for example, on Sunday we're in New Bedford at a competition, and that's we are registered there to be a pure competition band. It's Division I, and there's 5 different divisions based on the size of your group. But that was not something I competed in, but I will say the way the group was run then, it could have been. It definitely could have been a competitive band, because again, it was all about excellence and not settling for anything.
Well, I
but the
mean,
best.
isn't the competition thing more of a recent years type of now pretty much all the high schools are in these competitions now, right?
Yeah. I mean,
but I mean, back then, did you even have these competitions? Or?
So I don't. We used to go to more of like a festival.
Yeah.
One of the highlights of, I remember, the 4 years I was there was the Barnstable show. We would go down to Barnstable, Massachusetts, and it was at nighttime, late November, under the lights, and it was everybody went there and performed. It was about the spirit of it, the challenge of performing well, and. We got graded, of course, but there was no first or second, place kind of thing. But it was crazy. I mean, there was like 10 or 12 bands there, and there was this really nice moment where all the bands would come out together, and it was just this like massive, set of lines with all these different bands lined up single file alongside one another, and. That was a lot of fun. Again, it's the bus ride and the down there. But we used to do home and away football games. We used to go perform, follow the football team to their away games. But no, we were not a purely competitive band. It was more of again, they refer to it as being a show band. Now kind of thing. So. I think that started to take hold maybe 10 to 15 years ago.
Okay.
And that's when these organizations started to come about. I mean, NESBA's a little more local. U.S. bands, they do have local shows, but there's also the opportunity, if we wanted to, we could be in U.S. band shows in, say, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Pennsylvania. It's just a little bit more than a day's travel, and I'd like to try to keep it semi-local, for the students.
The high school has won a national championship in the band competition.
Yeah, I would say, I'm trying to remember how many years ago that was now, but it's fairly recent. I would say no more than 6 or 7 years ago. The way the U.S. band circuit works is there's different levels within the divisions. So
yeah, and they won their level.
Yeah, and the higher the level you perform at, the more points you're potential to earn or lose, for that matter. But those are some of the shows you have to kind of, like I said, travel to, say, Pennsylvania or somewhere in New York for. So
yeah, I remember them going down to Allentown.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
And whenever I hear that name, I just always think of the Billy Joel song.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But and you're also, I mean, I know they've done the Quincy Christmas Parade over the years. Are you going to be doing that?
Yeah, as a matter, I was just on the phone with the the director of that, and that's a lot of fun. The kids are actually they were asking me, hey, are we doing Quincy? Are we doing Quincy? It's a long parade, but it's a very popular event up there, and they're 5 and 6 deep sometimes along the street, and it's a little bit of a historic route in some spots. You're passing some older buildings.
Quincy,
yeah.
Was it John Adams? Was he from Quincy, I think?
Yeah, and then his the son, John Quincy. Yeah, right. So, but it's usually the weekend of Thanksgiving, and it's like kind of like I look at it as like it's like a little kickoff to the holiday season since I've been with the group. This year it's the Sunday after Thanksgiving, but usually a little cold. But we doing Quincy. When I went over the schedule with the kids, this was back. Actually, this was before school let out in May, and I said, well, I'd like to do it, and I had put out the info, and I did hear back just recently from the folks that are organizing it. We're also looking into there's the Fall River Parade. We did that last year. That was a lot of fun, and possibly maybe another couple of holiday parades. There's also the Stoughton, but that conflicts with I think it's conflicting this year with we like to do the Wreaths Across America event.
Oh yeah.
And that. I know I'm changing gears here a little bit, but I like to have the band at the community events, especially if it's involving anything to do with the veterans. So we will be at the library November 11th for the veteran ceremony that day, patriotic music, of course. And then the Wreaths Across America, I feel like it's important. Not only do we participate in that and play, but afterwards we go to St. Patrick's Cemetery, and we all, students and staff, go lay wreaths at the graves of veterans. And I feel like it's really important for the students to learn that, that there are people who have served the country and they deserve respect and recognition. So that...
They learned even a little more about that when they went to Hawaii a few years ago.
Yeah. So that was... I was there on that trip, and I don't know if you've ever been to...
I've never been there.
It was, again, I hate to use the word magical. I've been throwing that word around, but it was a magical experience. And that was really Tina, that she
put a lot of work into that.
Yeah, and it was fantastic. And yes, she did. She worked super hard to get those kids there, and they did a fantastic job. They represented the town and the state very well. There was a ceremony on the 7th earlier in the day honoring veterans. There was a gentleman who was at the attack on Pearl Harbor, survived to talk about it. He was, I think, 102 or in that area of age. And then we did it's a nighttime parade, and just like electric, the amount of people that we were marching right down downtown Honolulu. Again, it's the 5 and 6 deep. And people participating and singing along, and it was really magical. The moment that stands out for me in that trip was when we went out to the Arizona Memorial. It's very, very solemn, but it's just one of those places it's like it's in the air. Like the history is there, in the air. And I remember coming up, they bring you out from across the harbor, and you come out on a boat. And you come up this ramp, and as you turn the ramp, there's the leftover of the foundation for Turret 3 for the vessel still kind of coming out of the water, and I got like goosebumps. And I've only ever really had that experience at Ford's Theater, where President Lincoln was shot, and when I've been down to the World Trade Center, the 9/11 Memorial Plaza. So those three, it's on par with that. So if you've ever been to any of those, you kind of know what I'm talking about. But that was... And the students were fantastic. It was a real solemn moment, and that memorial is it's very quiet when you're there. Yeah. And of course, there's parts of the vessel still exposed, like I said, and you're above it. And then they have the memorial in the back, 1,170 plus names of the sailors that are still there, that died that day. So it was...
Yeah, that's one of those experiences you were talking about earlier that the kids will never forget.
Exactly, and again, they really need to thank Tina Rausch for that. That was her baby. She kind of facilitated that from beginning to end. But again, yeah, family type thing, that the bonds that they made on that trip. We had some rather long flights, friendships. I mean, my son is still in contact with some of the upperclassmen who were on that trip that have since graduated. They're in college now. But it was incredible. It was an incredible trip.
Now, I know every couple of years the band used to do like a trip to Disney World or somewhere else, but a big trip. Is anything like that planned for the future?
So, yeah, I would love to. I would really love to. I've actually inquired with, some internet searches and things with both Anaheim for Disneyland and Orlando. The group has to be a certain number, and we're not large enough.
No.
I think the ballpark number was 40.
Okay.
You have to have 40 members. That includes like anybody there has to be 40 students. So color guard, actual performing band members, banner bearers, any active students in the group has to be a number of 40. So because I went to Virginia Beach a couple times.
I remember them taking trips there.
Yeah. And we did the Disney trip. I want to say it was my sophomore year, so this is a long time ago now. But we marched at Epcot, we marched at Universal Studios and SeaWorld, and then we had a free day to go in the Magic Kingdom and Space Mountain and that. But I would love to do something like that. Just gotta kind of get some more students, and we can plan something, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we go over the schedule for the Musictown Festival?
So Musictown Festival starts Thursday night, like it always has for 52 years, Musictown Ball. That's at 6 p.m. at White's of Westport. We're going to have the show choir, concert band, marching band, and then they have dancing and that for the students afterwards. We segue into the following week where it's concert night at the high school. That's 7 p.m. That's where you have a lot of the concert groups, including the concert band, strings, chorus. And then
and the place where they're going to be performing is named after that legend we were talking about earlier.
It's at the Dr. Perry Performing Arts Center. And that's at the Somerset Berkeley Regional High School here in Somerset. And then it wraps up with the parade on Sunday the 19th at 1 p.m. And hope to see everybody there. Yeah. Okay. Sounds like fun.
I will see you there.
I will be there.
And I'll see you at the ball and the concert night.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to Somerset Showcase. We will see you at the Somerset Musictown Festival 2025.